maybe you just have to use the off-season to find a new top laner, JinAir, because neither Sowan nor Trace seems like the solution to JinAir's top lane struggles.
It's still it's so interesting because we know Trace to be this very conservative, very safe player in the top lane, and he's been getting caught out in just poor positionings, recalling on top of wards, and you could see the just honing in on Trace as far as the bans go. Shen and Trundle.
They got their knives out. They're like, well, these are the two champions we're confident you can play, and you don't need to ban the other top laners because Shen is always going to fit a tank role player like Trace. Trundle has been the only champion he's looked impressive on post 6-11, and now if you want to go with the Malzahar gimmick, we'll work that one out. What do you got, Trace? Because unfortunately ROX Tigers are targeting you, and I think more teams will continue to just ban two top laners against Trace and profit against JinAir Green Winters.
Yeah. I mean, even the Gangplank, something that Trace has played in the past, and Spring was very formidable going up against his Gangplank in that top lane. Tried it into a Shen earlier in the summer split and really just fell apart. So it just seems like his champion pool is suffering. His level of performance has just gone down. And now we can see the picks coming out. It's going to be Gragas locked in first off here for Peanut in the jungle. And Vladimir, of course, the last ban on the side of JinAir to go with that Sivir in Italy.
If you go further back, the last time these two teams met was a 2-0 to ROX Tigers, and Trace picked the GP into Aurelia, which any top lane player
that's what it was.
of yore can tell you that was always a Gangplank counter matchup, and nothing has changed, and he was crushed by Smeb in that game. So, yeah, GP is the only other really champion that he's shown a propensity to play, or top lane carry that is, and if I'm ROX Tigers, why not blind pick Aurelia? Because Trace has already shown he doesn't have anything in the tank to play against it.
Yeah. So very early pick there, as well as for the AD carry. So Prey going to be bringing out the Jhin, looking to net as many of those kills as he possibly can to inch closer to 1,000 from a safe distance with that curtain call. The bottom lane here for JinAir locked in the Ashe and Braum, reminiscent of what we saw from KT in Game 1. Whether or not they can perform as strongly on that duo as Arrow and Johnny did is going to be the big question.
And Braum has become the standard counter pick to Gragas. That's a case of having the Jhin as well, but I mean the main thing is the Gragas. To be able to run a no-escape AD carry like Ashe, you need something to negate the power of the explosive cast to bounce the Ashe into the team, and that is what you're able to do with the big wall coming up from the Braum E. JinAir have been running the Gnar consistently, but the numbers don't bring very attractive reading, I'm afraid. 0-2, a 1.3 KDA, the best, unfortunately, of some of his meta picks, so they'll try the Gnar again, but we'll wait and see what that can achieve.
It just seems like they're doing the MOBA Fire approach of countering that top lane. It's like,
well, I mean, actually, it's not even the MOBA Fire approach, because Aurelia is actually a Gnar counter pick, so he counterpicked himself.
Okay, they're taking one of those really bad downvoted MOBA Fire guides that says the Gnar is a counter pick, and they're going with that one. They're like, yeah, this seems good. This seems legit.
Well, max W, attack speed, hyper him to death.
It was written by a guy named XX420 No Scope XX.
Hey, he hit gold in Season 2, okay?
That's true, but he hasn't been able to get back there since.
Struggle streak.
Poor 420 No Scope.
Well, ROX is probably not going to play Amumu, sadly. MVP maybe on Monday. I don't know if you play Amumu against him. It's SK Telecom, that might be too much, but I'd love to see it.
That'd be pretty bold, but...
Cry's in the lineup, so I guess that means they can play Azir.
Yeah.
Kuro, of course, from Gorilla. Yeah. Okay.
This is a new little step here for Gorilla, moving over toward this Thresh. Not something that he's really brought to the table in a considerable amount of time. It's still favored champions like the Brahmin has even moved into some of those more ranged supports.
We could definitely see Talia come out this game. It's been a popular pick against Azir. What we've learned about Talia is that her wave clear, you're able to really position the work ground, which was what we expect at the highest level, which is a position we honestly pigeonhole Kuzan, who has been excellent this season when we've seen him. If his Talia play is up to the task, I think that you are able to push in sometimes in Azir, which is a crazy thing to say. We saw Talia push in both Azir and the Victor, but speaking of Victor, no Talia sadly this game. Kuzan going to go to what he knows best, and it's standard wave clear, but wild card on JinAir is going to be once again this Gnar, because it's a tough matchup. Early in the game, it's range versus melee, so it's happy times for Gnar, but you very quickly get to that point where Aurelia can take over the trades, really punish the Gnar, especially when he goes into the mini-Gnar farm, and unless we see Winged give Trace a whole hell of a lot of help up top lane, you have to worry for JinAir Greenwings.
Well, Winged has been one of the shining lights on the side of JinAir. He's had very strong performances, bringing out the Thunderlords on the Graves, and has had wonderful burst damage and ganks throughout the games, but whether or not it's enough to take down Smeb and keep him relevant, that is going to be the very big question. And I just have to worry for this Gnar. And another question is, how is Trace going to build this? Is he just going to build strictly for the 1v1, or does he build for the team? Because I feel like going up against ROX Tigers, a team that plays so well together in the late game team fights, you might just want to orient yourself for those skirmishes more so than trying to win this matchup. Because not only going up against the Aurelia, that's already a tough feat, but going up against Smeb on the Aurelia, I feel like even if you go, you get that early Frozen Mallet, you get the Black Cleaver, there's probably still not going to win that. I
mean, Trace is a utility-minded top laner, used to building defensive, used to dealing with no gold against a carry top laner, and he's going to feel in the matchup that he has to play aggressively, build aggressively, but that's not the Trace we know and love.
That's not him.
It's against Smeb, the god of top lane.
That it is. Well, here we go. Let's get right into Game 1. ROX Tigers versus JinAir Greenwings. All right, here we go. I approve. Another Infernal Drake. And good cheers for both sides, but ROX definitely getting the better of that from the audience vote. Still a very full crowd here at the OGN East Stadium. A couple people are out for the SK Telecom fan meet. I'm sure they will slink their way back in the middle of the game.
It's quite the sight. If you ever get a chance to come for an SKT series here at the Seoul East Stadium, the lines for those fan meets, the lines to meet Faker,
oh, yeah,
not to be trifled with.
Definitely not. But we've had people traveling from all over the place.
Some Minnesotans today.
Yeah, we have some people from Minnesota. Doa's not here to greet them.
Sad days.
See just the sign there for ROX Tigers. I heart Smeb.
Me too.
It's a great
Me
guy.
too, fan in the crowd.
Also had a pairing from Holland.
Wow,
that I just talked to.
The Netherlands.
Yeah, coming in.
Nice.
So they said hello, had reached out, said, how do I get tickets to LCK? I said, just show up.
Now this might be really interesting. Peanut and Smeb was spotted on a nice ward that was put in deep.
Yeah, well, here comes Pylon Trace. Looks like they might be able to exit this one fairly safely. Smeb, yeah, will just go ahead, blow the flash as Wing was coming around the sides. Meanwhile, Prey and Gorilla move in, start up this blue buff, just going to take away one of the small Sentinels. But flash down on the Aurelia, that's a good move, especially for Winged, who is on that Elise, can come up, get a very easy cocoon.
Smart from ROX Tigers. They knew that JinAir had all their vision around the top side, their blue side, so they knew that a lane swap had to be enacted. You will never see a team swap back into blind vision after they put in all their wards, all their trinket wards. We no longer have green wards, all their trinket wards around one side of the jungle, so they could be confident in walking over, contesting the enemy blue, stealing away a bit of experience, and then going back to the lane swap. So even though we saw Peanut and Smeb get a bit greedy trying to get an extra camp, the end result is a flash down, but in a lane swap, doesn't really mean much.
Yeah. We'll see how this swap's going to go, which team is going to end up with priority over that Infernal Drake. To be damn sure that both of them will want to get their hands on that. We'll also have to keep our eye on this mid lane matchup with Kuzan coming back to the victor, something that has had a very strong amount of success so far in Summer, but has not been picked nearly as much in recent history. You can see on the screen, though, 38 kills to go for Prey until he hits that 1K mark.
If he beats Faker to that mark, I will be very impressed.
That would be very surprising. 38 kills in potentially 3 games. It's certainly doable.
It is JinAir.
It is JinAir.
The games could go long. They're not normally bloody, though, so we don't normally see kill-a-minute JinAir 60-minute games.
So it'd have to come down to ROX stepping on the gas and applying that pressure to get those kills.
I mean, in the context of this game, it's actually the sort of game where Jin can really profit. The reason why I say that is you look over at JinAir's lineup, not the tankiest. Braum, of course, will get decently tanky, but probably just has to build Locket and deal with physical damage. Gnar probably going to be building offensive laning items. Winged, you never really know which way an Elise goes, but if the last series was an indication, probably going to be building a bit of AP, or perhaps even a Proto Belt. So not a two-tank line, not say Rek'Sai Shen, where Jin finds it very hard to scratch the front line. And if Jin gets ahead in the early game, you really like this game for ROX because only Gnar really has the ability to get in the lineup and stop Jin from just free autoing or getting all 4 shots off of the curtain call.
And again, that comes down to the build path that Trace decides to go for. If he goes to that Frozen Mallet, sure, it'll give him a little bit of HP, but he'll still be taking pretty much true damage from that Jin that is going to be optimizing for the armor penetration. You can already see the double longsword coming through as Prey looks for that Dirk.
So I will almost 100% guarantee we see a Frozen Mallet rush. I guess it's an outside. I have seen Trace go into matchups where he's supposed to pressure and rush Aranduin, so I guess there's an outside chance. But health is such an important stat against Aurelia. Does true damage on hit. That Frozen Mallet is harassment, chase down, and also gets you a health pull. Gnar likes flat health because he gets extra resists in Mega Gnar form, so at the end of the day, it's probably going to be Frozen Mallet, but outside chance of a Black Cleave.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the Mega Gnar, and that's another big question mark here for Trace. Is he going to be able to manage that Gnar bar when it comes down to these big fights? Because so far it's been pretty lacking. He's about to get the Mega Gnar now.
In the top lane.
But yeah, Smeb just dashes back straight onto Winged, who takes a bunch of damage, has to repel over to the minions to get himself out. Holds onto the flash though, so overall not going to be losing very much, but that should send him back. Doesn't have too many camps to go for, so might just pick up the Raptors and go back for his next buy.
ROX confident enough to send Smeb in an overextended lane. Gankable, but Peanut smart pathing to be able to stay towards the top side of his map. Not that there were any camps in the bot side of the map, but
yeah,
wants to be there to cover for his Aurelia.
They're still sticking around up top here. Smeb will exit the brush, but Trace has no idea that Peanut is still here. Well, now he'll just walk out and say, you know what, let's just shove this into the tower.
Basically what they wanted to see how the minions broke. If it was pushing back, okay, you wait for the gank. It wasn't, so shove it hard and give Smeb option to roam, back away, go for a purchase.
So far, just going to be pretty slow pace. The swaps, of course, coming out, so we're not going to see that double turret take. And this does pretty much even the playing field as far as who will be able to get onto that dragon. So no vision priority really in that bottom side of the river yet from either side. JinAir just with the 1 pink sitting in the lane brush. So no one going to be prioritizing yet. 6.5 minutes in would be the earliest dragon that we've seen today.
This early in the game, I think it's probably too much trouble for the 8% stat boost, which of course early in the game counts for very little when there are no real stats to speak of to boost up. Yeah. So for now, standard lanes, which is a rarity. We haven't seen standard lanes so far today, so nice to see them go. And it's good for ROX Tigers because we're already at the point where Smeb can really start overpowering Trace and trades.
Yeah, see him coming in, has the double dagger, looking for the stinger. And then already set up to have the Phage, but JinAir are going to be going for a wraparound. The ward that they have about to expire. Prey walking forward. The Cocoon does find him. He gets hit up by that Winter's Bite, but he's got that Lantern there to take him to safety. So the gank is going to be outsmarted by the efforts of Gorilla, but they do get the heal away from him.
See if Gorilla can improve some of his stats this season. Has died a lot. I believe he's 3rd overall in deaths in the league, but Thresh is a pick that he's had some success on. Just a single game, honestly. There hasn't been much Thresh from Gorilla in 2016, but single game, single victory is good times for him.
100% win rate.
Yeah.
Well, Dragon was started up for a moment there by JinAir, but Gorilla roaming up, and the lack of vision on Peanut did dissuade them, so they go ahead and decide to peel back, but they at least do get some vision priority here in that river. Also have a very cheeky ward placed just over the wall outside of that tri-brush where the pink cannot spot it, so Gorilla won't be able to clear that one out. So they will know if Gorilla decides to roam up towards that mid lane. So keep Kuzan safe for the time being.
Might be surprised after all his Alistair games last season, but Gorilla's lifetime most played in professional play is Thresh. 66% win rate.
I am surprised.
Given that some of those teams were less winning than a team like the ROX Tigers, that is an impressive lifetime win rate for Gorilla.
Been looking good.
44 games of Thresh.
Yep. Started all, you know, has had a little bit of a rough patch here, but still making a very tough effort at being considered one of the best, if not the best supports here in the world. Last split, we would say that was pretty much inarguable.
I mean, at the end of the day, with players like Gorilla, like Faker when he was struggling a couple of series in a row, form is temporary, class is permanent.
Oh boy. Well, Gorilla comes in with the flash, tries to get the hook, but flash away by Che will keep him safe. So flash for flash. Not going to be too disappointed with that one. Stops away that very aggressive engage that Braum can have with the flash Glacial Fissure Winter's Bite.
He has the potential to lock up, as they have the Ash Arrow as well. Very pushed in his Trace. Does have good ward coverage. This is actually pretty safe. Calculated play from JinAir.
You can see Winged is hovering in the vicinity. Will get spotted by that ward by Gromp, I do believe. And Smeb just going to throw out the ultimate. Be able to clear out this wave, get a little bit of health back as well. Keeps himself safe. Now Trace going into Meganar has to push really far forward. He wants to try to harass, so will just be slowly slipping behind in CS, 53 to 47 for the time being.
Look, Smeb's not going to take the bait. He already saw the Elise. Now the Wolf Spirit is extra coverage. He knows his jungle was on the bottom side of the map. So until he has any semblance of pressure, just going to play safe. And he's winning the CS race, so he's pretty happy.
Happy indeed. Stop the recall would be some big items coming through for him. Meanwhile, Cry going to get engaged on by the Cocoon, but fires back onto Winged as he also takes a turret shot. Will knock that Elise down to about half, so keeping himself safe on that Azir and keeping up in farm with this Victor, which is a very good sign. You can see a very aggressive start here for Cry as he goes for that needlessly large rod after the Berserker Greaves. So going to be looking for the Rylai's as the first item.
The first person I saw do this build was Mickey earlier this week. He doesn't play a lot of Azir, but he went for, very similarly, the first item Rylai's. Effectively is a bit of a pick build, because of course you'll get that slow from the Sand Soldier, then have the option to go for an Azir sec play, but they don't have the pick options of Ashe and Braum like JinAir do, so acquiring that first target, allowing Peanut to close the distance for things like the Explosive Cask. I like the build that we're seeing, and it's a deprioritization of National's Tooth just because Berserker Greaves give you 35% attack speed, and sure, maybe you'll go for a Melanomicon now. You only lose out on the 15% compared to the 50% that National gives.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So far, though, Dragon still being relatively ignored. Scuttle Crab was picked up by Peanut, so he has a little bit of extended vision on that area, but we're pretty much neck and neck here as the gold is pretty even. Prey going to get engaged on by that arrow, but there's just no one to collapse onto it. Gorilla, meanwhile, is in a really bad spot. Peanut arrives, though. That might be enough to keep him alive. Looks like it will be. Curtain Call gets popped. Can he find any targets? Last shot coming through will find Trace in the front line, but Peanut's going to be the first one to die as Pilot goes forward, finds the first blood. Now Cry has to flash away, gets him out of range of that Glacial Fissure. But a nice turnaround here from the side of JinAir. Trace arriving just in time to help turn that one on its head, and they come up with first blood.
And ROX didn't realize, and I didn't realize it either, that JinAir had actually taken teleport on the mid laner. So Kuzan's actually running teleport Victor. We usually see Ghost or Cleanse or another defensive or offensive option, but he's gone for the teleport. He was always going to be able to react first, so they got 5 members down bottom. They've had these problems with rotations recently where they've been outnumbered consecutively in multiple different games, so I like the little adaptation, and it ends up netting them first blood.
Yep, very nicely played. Can't transition that into an objective, such as the Dragon or a turret, though, so this will leave ROX not too far behind as far as the gold count goes, but still a strong pickup for that Ashe, who already has the BF sword and a long sword in the inventory. Looks like Pilot will be going for the Essence Reaver first. Meanwhile, Yomu's has been completed by Prey on the other side of things, so he's going to start really hurting in these extended trades with that Curtain Call.
Saw a lot more Infinity Edge first and also Essence Reaver first Jin this week with the changes on 6-12, but I like Armor Pen stacking against a team that realistically isn't going to be building a lot of armor, going to be health from the Gnar and other stats.
Well, it looks like we might have a dive onto Trace, takes a bit of damage there. The hook not going to connect as Trace does hop out. Cry's here, so 4 members versus 1. They dash in. Trace just looking like he's going to buy some time for the team. They already finished off that Infernal. Cry dashes forward. Trace is just doing a very good job of keeping them busy. The arrow comes up. Looks like it might connect onto Gorilla. Nope, barely misses, and Smeb will get the kill. So very close, but now that 8% going to be stacking up for JinAir.
Trace chose to flash just to buy more time. Not really clear if that was necessary. They were always certainly going to get the Drake. He was never going to get out.
The Drake was already dead. I think he should have just held on to the flash. That seems pretty needless, especially when you're on the Gnar, and that flash Gnar ultimate can really set you up for some massive plays onto the enemy. I think that was pretty careless, but overall, JinAir are going to be profiting.
And it was calculated by ROX Tigers, though, Achilles. They don't care about giving away 8% stats. They want to get Aurelia, give her that little nudge to get ahead.
Sure.
This trust in Smeb to accelerate a little nudge into a big lead over the Gnar that we've said a couple of times already. Does naturally win the 1v1 matchup against Gnar.
Pretty reminiscent of that of KT. Now they just need to not go for a silly Baron and lose that over to them. Peanut will be able to smite away that red buff, keep himself healthy. Trace isn't going to be able to get much done, but they're going to lose their red on the other side as Wing takes it out.
KT did so many things right, so many things wrong.
Yep.
That's all you could really say about our earlier series today.
As you do.
Telecom Wars.
Big group up in the mid side looking for Cry, but not going to be able to find much action, so Jay going to recall, go back.
Super fast, it's not Infinity Edge, super fast Trinity Force for Smeb this game.
Yeah,
so
not bad. 15 minutes. He's up in CS at the moment as the wave is pushing in towards his tier 2 as well, so he'll have a healthy source of farm coming through. They're looking for a play in the mid.
But now he's looking for a roam. Bit optimistic. In a Ziasek play, he would still need to do a lot of gap closing to get on top of the Victor. So
yeah, no flash available either. Jay, though, in a really bad spot, going to get slowed up, throws out the Glacial Fissure, but here comes Cry, pops him back, and that's going to be another kill for ROX Tigers as they take out the Braum, who was just wandering in the river all on his lonesome.
The timing on the roam is so great as well. Obviously, Gnar pushes in the way of the instant he sees it, but look where it stops, right outside the inner turret for Smeb. He will get every single minion here. It's Trinity Force Aurelia. It's not hard to last hit, so...
Not at all.
Happy, happy times for ROX. Oh, he actually misjudges the Q.
Still gets it, though.
Another player who's dissenting from the Emax second we've seen recently. It's going to be W into Q for Smeb. Only other first max we've seen is the Q max against Shen in particular. That was what Someday did.
And this makes sense to be able to deal with the Gnar. He's innately going to be going for HP. See the curtain call opening up on the Kuzan. Jay arrives in time to block these last couple of shots.
Oh!
But the hook just drags him right out of the way. And that's going to be a double kill for Prey, getting Jay with the W. Wow. Beautifully played by Prey and Gorilla.
Just 34 to go, Achilles.
Oh, yeah. We're on the way. No, 36, right? He needs 38.
Oh, does he need 30? I thought it was
36 to go.
Wow. Well, I mean, that was beautiful to see.
That was just so well. Even if this wasn't necessarily intended by Gorilla.
I'm going to have to watch. I'm going to decide if it was intentional.
And get out of the way.
He goes for a hook in general, so that was probably, let's give him the benefit of the doubt, calculated by Gorilla.
Absolutely. But then just following up with a W, getting Jay the last pixel of that spell. Beautifully played by ROX, a wonderful setup, and now this is going to open them up to push forward into this bottom side.
It's also the build, Achilles. We haven't seen a lot of this armor penetration stacking Jin this week. As, speaking of Jin, he needs to get out as fast as possible.
Yeah, he's going to be in a really bad spot. Already blows the flash, but there's just nowhere to go. He's going to get locked up. He's going to go down. Trades back on the pilot decently. And now Gorilla on the backside will fall. So 2 kills picked up for JinAir as Smeb and Peanut just casually taking the Rift Herald.
So what you missed there is that actually he tried to flash onto a lantern, but there was a pink ward put on it, so he couldn't click it. And then Gorilla was killed on the backside, so that was actually really amusing.
You're right, I didn't catch that one. I'm going to have to see that in the replay if we do get one. ROX will finish off that Rift Herald, but nice fire back by JinAir, going to keep themselves
He ended up
very
flash
tight-knit.
auto-attacking a pink ward. Sad days.
Oh.
Hidden features.
Yep. That's just silly, but nicely done. JinAir will keep it close between 200 gold here.
It's been worse before. That was the good old days when Rammus powerballed at you and you could block his powerball with a ward.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Not anymore.
I miss all those lovely little hidden features.
You could also stop move against a Blitzcrank and have him hook a ward.
You're doing Baron? I'm Blitzcrank. I'm just going to pull the Baron out of the pit.
Yeah.
Which just looked really weird because it was just a giant orm just moving. See though, ROX setting up for a gank. They get onto Jay, lock him up. He throws out the Glacial Fissure though, and there's 3 members of JinAir. They're just firing off onto Smeb, flashes over the wall, but the flurry is enough to take him out. Pilot will come up with a kill. The arrow lands, but I don't know if they can really follow up on this one. The Cocoon not going to connect, so Peanut will get out alive, but ROX sticking around in that dry brush up top, they pay for it.
Yeah, overconfident. They were looking for a pick, but they didn't respect the fact there could be multiple members there.
Oh boy,
They were outnumbered. Peanut's outnumbered still.
Yeah, he gets caught by Winter's bite, but Winged can't get around the minions in time to connect the Cocoon and go for the kill. But still nicely played. Now they're going to completely even up the gold count. Big wave here for Peanut to absorb. Smeb, of course, would have loved to have gotten his hands on this, but it will not be so.
Have to remember the name of JinAir. They're known as the Robin Hood of the LCK, and that means they rob from the rich. So you cannot look past this game if you are the ROX Tigers. Sure, you come in heavy favorites. Sure, you got a sick double kill onto your Jin, but 3 kills in a row, and JinAir are actually just 100, 200 gold behind. Very much competitive in this game, and they do have the late game insurance of the first Infernal Drake of the game.
Yeah, we'll have that 8% stacking up as they garner more items for themselves. So far, Kuzan not been able to get much, has augmented his item though. So now we'll begin to build up those big items that he so needs. Kirkall's going to be used as they try to get onto him. They connect 2. Last shot. Might have been able to kill him, but it doesn't connect in the end. He uses the flash to get out of the way. He will keep himself alive, but this does give an opportunity for ROX to try to keep pushing. But with the arrival of Winged and Trace, they will dissuade them of that. Now Mountain Drake, the second one spawned. Looks like ROX not going to be in a position to go for this one. Just get some vision in that vicinity, but JinAir cleaned this out. They're going to go ahead and start this up.
Yeah, there's no way ROX will contest. You can see Azir channeling his recall in mid as the Drake spawns.
Peanut could go for the cast or the smite. He does have the flash available, plus Gorilla there. He's actually going to be able to get it and takes the lantern out. Will clip the arrow on the way back, but nicely played. That's the things you can do when you have that lantern there to rescue you.
Reminds me of the days of poking with Kassadin under enemy turrets and then being able to lantern back over. Really nicely done, and that's what happens when you're a team that has great communication between your members. It's famous that these players are very much friends and co-workers at the same time, and you see that synergy between Peanut and Gorilla with that nice steal on the Mountain Drake.
Yeah, that's going to be very crucial. Denying the Mountain Drake and Infernal Drake stacking from JinAir is pretty huge, but now we can see ROX going for another pick onto Kuzan. He's playing really far back, so they should just be able to go ahead and take this turret.
They don't have the explosive cask, so
they'll get some damage in, but they can't overcommit for it. Winged and Shay roaming up from the bottom side will run up to try to intercept. So they chunk this thing out, but still going to be standing for the time being. But ROX have started stretching a little bit more of a gold lead in the way of this CS that's been building up at the top and mid side.
What I want to see them do is to invade 2-3-man onto the red side jungle of JinAir, get some defensive wards down, and allow Aurelia to play around vision to really punish the Gnar. Gnar still doesn't have a completed item, and it looks like Smeb will soon have what I can only assume will be a Dead Man's Plate as his second completed item. Does have a lot of options. Obviously, Giant's Belt and the Chain Vest can build very flexibly, but extra movement speed to acquire that first target is always a happy thing for Aurelia.
They're trying to push in here. Cry going to cleanse off that arrow very much immediately. Showing, hey, Captain Jack, I know you're in the audience. Look what I can do.
I can also cleanse.
Elise finds that funny.
Sounds like a chuckle then, Elise.
I think she has probably the most annoying laugh in the game right now on the Korean servers. I can't think of anybody else that has a more annoying laugh.
I get pretty tilted by Super Galaxy Rumble.
By his laugh, or just by him in general?
I mean, it sounds like he's laughing most of the time when he's going on and on about overheating and stuff.
I think as far as laughter goes strictly, Elise is my least favorite. It's just such a high-pitched, nasally, like...
She's sneering at you.
Yeah.
Not into that, apparently, Achilles.
No. She's a spider. I don't want her sneering at me. I want to smear her all over the wall.
Oh, that's murder.
She's a spider. It's okay.
Well,
it's not murder if they're an arachnid.
Okay.
Maybe it's 50% murder because she's part human.
They came for the spiders, and I said nothing. Slippery slope, Achilles. It's going to be the Duskblade first.
Uh-oh.
He doesn't have cleanse this
Arrow
time.
lands onto Cry, straight into the cocoon, and he just can't get to that lantern in time. TP will be completed by Smeb. However, the sun not going to come through. Now they knock Jay in. They will be able to answer this kill. Can they find more? Ray's pincing down from the top, but he's not going to be able to get there in time. But nicely played by both sides. The mid lane for the support, JinAir, going to be profiting off that.
Good trade. Trace should have been able to cancel the teleport. He didn't use flash, so he must have just thought that there'd be no way that he wouldn't stop the channel, but there is a cast time on the Mega Gnar W, so no stun went off. He could have used his ult, which would have been instant cast, decided not to do that either.
Yeah, it was very close. But now look at this, JinAir pushing Smeb and Gorilla back. They're going to be able to take out this tier 2 in the bottom side.
Praise chilling in the top lane, pushing out minions, so no way for ROX Tigers to punish. So what we thought would be a one-sided series continues to surprise as JinAir look a lot more together, a lot more with it, and ROX have been overly aggressive in the first 20 minutes or so.
Yep. And that was pretty much the story of their loss against SK Telecom. Very aggressive. Prey walking too far forward, getting caught out in that match. And yeah, just kind of fell apart from there. So definitely having some troubles getting their foot off of the accelerator.
Wondered what ROX would look like as the meta shifted, but I feel like this meta is still very much in their wheelhouse. SKT is a team they've always struggled against, so the 2-0 there can't be found to be too surprising.
Yeah. Which is quite true. JinAir, however, definitely want to try to take that one away. Ooh! Barely evades the arrow.
The crowd loves the geometry on some of these interactions. Fun angles.
Yeah, very nice takeaway there by Peanut. Did use the smite now. ROX with that Azir turret built up in the mid side. Going to be feeling very confident to stick forward and start chipping away at this tier 2.
Trace went full Trace and rushed to Randuin.
Kuzan does get hit up by that root. Takes a good chunk of his HP from Prey. Does have that curtain call available. So they could go for a push in. Looks like they're just going to opt to go through the jungle, take away that blue buff, and keep that out of the hands of Kuzan.
I don't mind this from Trace, like I said a second ago. He went for Randuin's first. He realistically knows that he's not the kind of player who can punish Smeb with an aggressive build, so he's just building for team fights.
Yeah, I do like this. This is what I was hoping that he would do. Curtain call gets used, wing dodges out, takes a hit. Last one's going to get body blocked by Pilot. Still takes a pretty hearty chunk. And he will be able to whittle his turret down to about half. But almost finding wing, that would have been a pretty crucial pick-off if they could have gotten it, as Dragon is now spawning.
Have a nice pink ward to transition over to the bot lane, but Smeb will just push up the minion wave as we have a pause.
Yeah, see what's going on, who's having the issues.
I'm going to guess it's ROX Tigers if we're seeing Peanut on our screens, but
looks like it might be Gorilla. He's fiddling around with some stuff in the on his computer tower. So he had a keyboard issue just a couple days ago, so might be having a repeat one. We'll see as the handlers move over there to try to take care of this. We'll get this alleviated, but second Mountain Drake spawning up. ROX getting that first one. Of course, the Infernal, the first dragon of the game, going over to the side of JinAir.
Stealing away the first Mountain Drake, you'd have to say. It was nice.
Yeah, very, very crucial there for ROX Tigers.
So far looked very much on point with their Thresh play, but once again, I guess I want to say uncharacteristically aggressive, but that's not fair. They are a very aggressive team, but not necessarily the calculated aggression they pulled off in spring season.
Yeah.
And JinAir, this is their potential. They can rise to the oppositions, why we call them that Robin Hood team, and they've been surprisingly with it. And you've got someone like Trace who may have counterpicked himself, but he's not putting himself in a scenario to lose more. He's going for Randuins. That'll help him in his lane trades. That'll help him in his team fights. And you think about the Randuins in a team fight as Gnar. If you get the Gnar ultimate, you're also going to be in exactly the right spot to get the maximum effect of the Randuin slow as well, the active. So a bit of laning power, but mostly a team fight Gnar build from Trace.
Yeah. Big worry, though, is going to be Smeb with this pretty massive CS lead at the moment. 2-1-1 on the scoreboard as well. And currently up by 40 or 51 CS. Did go for the Dead Man's Plate as his second item, so getting that tankiness coming in. And if he gets onto the back line, onto Pilot's face, he's going to make pretty quick work of that Ashe.
Yes.
So That is going to be the big concern if you're the JinAir Green Wings, because Victor, he at least gets that shield from the Siphon Power. He has a gravity field that he can throw down on himself, but if he's not able to help peel off that Aurelia, then it could be very rough times for the side of JinAir. Looks like we do have the issue taken care of, and we should be getting back into game in just a second, where ROX are beginning to start up this Dragon.
So we'll see the Dragon start to fall out. Well, I mean, you say start to. They kill it pretty damn fast with a single Mountain Drake and an Azir.
Yeah, Winged, of course, just wasn't in the area. They did use the Hawk shot from Pilot to spot it out, but the Elise, coming off of getting chunked out in that mid side, had to back off and just wasn't able to get back into the jungle in time to try to contest that one. So ROX will continue to inch forward, but it's still only about 1,000 gold separating these two teams at the moment. Tied in turrets, and now a Dragon up for ROX with that double mount. Didn't get to spot what the next one will be. Can only hope that it's another Infernal Drake.
Don't know what the third spawn is in this game, but just to return to Randuin's for another second, one of the reasons I want to just bring it up once more is that Aurelia versus Ashe in a team fight, I mean, we don't need to see it. We know what will happen. Aurelia will dash in. She already has CC reduction from her passive, and she'll be able to kill the low health, immobile Ashe. But the reason why it's important to go Randuin's is that if you go for the lane dominant build, Black Cleaver, the Frozen Mallet, if you get snowballed on, you just lose the 1v1 matchup, and then you're squishier in team fights. At least in this scenario, the chances of Aurelia solo killing the Gnar or pushing Gnar out of lane and being able to teleport and kill the Ashe go down, because at least the laning phase should be a little bit more even. Okay, the Gnar might be pushed in more because he has less AD, and be less able to snowball around the Gnar, but you just don't have that lose-lose scenario that some Aurelia games can really devolve into.
Yeah, this is an interesting adaptation, going for the Sterix Gauge as the second completed item. Not one that we typically see, I mean, pretty much anymore. We did see Someday build this on his Renekton. It was the closest thing that he had to a defensive item, really, and allowed for Freak of Freak Songyun in particular to completely shred him out on that Renekton. But not an item that we see much on Gnar.
I don't know what it really does in this game either. I mean, against Burst, it's sometimes good, but not that much Burst. Consistent damage Mage in the mid lane, consistent damage from Aurelia with those Trinity Force procs. Okay,
the burst
some
from
burst
the
from
Duskblade, I guess?
Sure, and he's going to be a frontliner, but I'm not a fan of Sterix Gauge. It just feels like it's 1,500 gold from the start that didn't really go anywhere, that helps JinAir win the game more.
Yeah. Would have liked to have seen something a little bit flatter as far as helping him out. Of course, Frozen Heart wouldn't do a whole lot for him because he doesn't have mana, so he would be wasting that stat, but reducing the attack speed of, say, the Azir and the Aurelia, who has that hit-and style, would be pretty desirable. So maybe you just eat the lack of mana, but ROX are starting up
Double Mountain Drake.
Yeah, they're starting up this Baron. The Double Mountain Drake's working out. The Cocoon already used by Wing. Might just have to go in for the steal, but it doesn't matter. Peanut's going to be able to confirm that one, and Wing just completely vanishes under the pressure from Prey, who now opens up the curtain call onto Kuzan. They have him locked in place. The last shot will find the kill. Gorilla's going to go down, but that's going to be the only reprieve JinAir is able to find, because the rest of ROX are pinching down from above. Trace getting ready to transform into that Mega Gnar might be enough as far as the stats go to keep him alive. He hops away from Peanut.
Man, still has Flash.
Yeah, that transition is inevitable now. He dashes forward, gets the slow in with the Equilibrium Strike. Trace using the Gnar ultimate to knock him back. Staircase can pop, but he gets rooted by the W from the Jhin, and he goes down, and Prey will find another kill, just continuously stacking towards that 1,000 mark. And JinAir losing out on that Baron, losing 3 people only for Gorilla. This is going to hit them pretty hard as the tier 2 turrets are beginning to crumble.
You just have to adjust your vision game when you're playing against a team that's already taken down 2 Mountain Drakes. It just means that Baron is always going to be top of the menu.
Even without them, they have an Azir who can do the Baron so very quickly, but when you stack the Mountain Drakes on top of that, it's even worse. We'll take another look at this replay, though.
Yeah, Aurelia was conspicuous in the bottom lane, but the Azir with Double Mountain Drake deleted the Baron, and by the time Smeb came in, they'd already won the fight because they had killed the Victor as well. Chase on for exit kills, but really nicely executed from ROX. There's an aggressive play that made sense. This is not the sort of Baron that KT was trying to take in games 2 and 3 of the last series. And also at the end of the fight, you see why I'm not a big fan of the Sterix Gauge. You get this extra 300 health, but against consistent damage, that's never going to be the difference between you winning and losing a fight.
Yeah, not at all. Well, now 5-1-0 on the Jhin. Prey just
Damn, look at that build.
33 kills out, and yeah, he is very, very fed at the moment. Duskblade Yomu's with an Infinity Edge completed at 30.
And another Dirk.
And another one. So probably the Maw of Malmortius coming out perhaps for him.
Also, yeah, I guess so. Honestly, some people sit on it and just buy a last Whisper and Boots too, and then worry about the Maw later in the game. I don't think magic damage is going to hit Prey, who has a good front line. He also has...
Well, this was one of the downfalls against SK Telecom.
Yep.
Didn't go for that Maul or even the Hex Drinker until his 4th item. He's been very much more comfortable in this game.
I mean, he's got a Thresh and a
it,
Nazir, so I think if that don't peel for him, that's his team's fault.
That's true. Curtain Call is going to be opened up. Jay there to body block on the Pilot, still taking a good amount of damage, though. And that will be the inhibitor going down in favor of ROX Tigers. So just pushing forward with this Baron buff. Getting work done now, suddenly, where we were just 1,000 gold apart. It's going to be a 7K gold lead.
Yeah, they accelerated the game in a smart fashion. They played well around Baron, denied vision, and then knew they had the damage to take it down.
Cry looking for a pick. Wow, you can see
he ain't
that
got no magic.
That lack of MR, just the Merc Treads, the only thing contributing to that stat for him. Not going to be doing a whole lot. The arrow gets opened up, lands onto Prey. Pina goes forward, finds Jay with a stun, and gets locked up. He will be able to jump back. The cast comes forward, though, straight into the slope from Smeb, and Prey comes up with yet another kill. Tier 2 goes down, and ROX are going to continue this onslaught forward onto this next inhibitor tower. Peanut's he's a little bit too far forward, but we'll have that body slam up in a second, as well as the Lantern, so he's able to exit safely. And ROX can just stick around and chip away at this tower. With Wave crashing in, Yomu's popped. He will be able to take this one down. Trace just can't find the opening. He's about to transform, but look at how much damage he's taking. Transforms down below half HP, and 2 inhibitors falling inside the base of JinAir. ROX very much poised to take this game.
Really nice play from ROX. The moment they went for the Rylai's build, you knew they were looking for long-range picks, any damage hits, and Prey is one of those practiced Jin players in the world. Was playing it last season out of meta, playing this season in meta. They get the picks, they get the objectives, and so far, ROX Tigers have got everything they wanted after what was a very even game coming into our pools.
Yep. Oh. Looking pretty good there if you're Prey, who is now just 32 kills out from hitting 1,000. Still a bit of a far cry from happening in this series, it would seem, but you never know. If you can get a couple pentakills, that would certainly help out the cause. There's an Ocean Drake as our 4th one, our final one before the Elder Dragon spawns, and ROX are in full position to go ahead and take this one with relative ease. JinAir at this point can't really exit too far past the base walls.
It's great to see Prey playing competitive, and obviously he's been with the ROX Tigers for a couple of years now, but in 2014, you know, when the Korean scene was at, honestly, the hottest it'll ever be, back when anyone could win, Samsung Blue, Samsung White, the arrows, the bullets.
I think we're at that point where anybody can win.
We are and we aren't. SKT are very dominant these days, but you know, Prey was out of the limelight. You know, Prey had retired for over 6 months, and we never thought he'd come back. But to see him playing with flair, to see him as one of the best AD carries still in Korea, is such a treat to see.
Yeah, I'd go so far as to say one of the best in the world.
Best in Korea, best in the world.
Yep. I guess it goes hand in hand most of the time.
It used to be a brag by Monte Cristo, but then Season 3 Worlds happened, and we live in a post-Season 3 Worlds world now.
Post-Worlds world?
Yep.
Gotcha. Well, they're still very much making the case for Korea being the most dominant. But hey, you never know. TSM's they're 3rd now, according to Power Rankings.
Look, I think TSM are legit a good team.
I do as well. I just don't know if
their evolution this season is there for all to see, but
I just don't know if 3rd in the world is yet earned. We need to see some international play from these guys. Peanut gonna get stunned up by that arrow. Huge chunk onto Kuzan as that 4th bullet comes through, and Prey will add another one to the tally. Trace goes in, uses the Gnar ultimate, but he's not getting much done. Looks like Cry will fall as Wing finds the kill, but Pilot has gone down, and Smeb is just chasing in, tanking up this tower as he goes on to Jay. Should be able to finish him off. One more dash. Oh, Prey comes forward. Not going to be able to confirm the kill, though, as it does go over to Smeb in the end. But look at that. The Nexus exposed here at 36 minutes, and ROX will be able to finish this one out after some delayed skirmishing. Super Creep's pushing forward, going to help them chip this one out. But very strong finish here by ROX, and a good game overall. Winged is trying to deny as many kills as he possibly can away, but it doesn't matter. The hits come through. Bray is just such a huge Jin. He'll pick up a couple more to end the game at 8-1-1. Needs 30 more to get that 1,000 mark, and ROX Tigers off to a very good start in this series.
The best teams in the world can hit that extra gear, Achilles. We're actually very even coming into the pause. Like, wow, JinAir have leveled up. They're playing a lot better. Robin Hood, rah. And then ROX Tigers decide they want to win the game, and 8 minutes later, the Nexus is exploding. ROX Tigers take a very comfortable Game 1 win, and Prey piles on the kills. Jin has always been one of his a champion synonymous with Prey. He brought it into the Korean scene next to Seoul. He no longer is in the LCK last season, and he looks great doing it.
Yeah. Well, very strong start from ROX. I mean, the beginning of the game, a little bit shaky there, back and forth. JinAir coming out with some very crucial picks and keeping it insanely close. At one point, we were, pretty much tied for about 5 minutes as far as the goal count goes. But ROX making some very smart plays, utilizing that double Mountain Drake to net themselves a Baron, and they come out on top. And you can see the damage there from Prey, almost doing 1,000 damage per minute.
He did double the most on JinAir's side.
Yeah, that is depressing.
More than double.
If you're a JinAir, yeah. 15.8 thousand for Pilot on that Ashe. And Kuzan just not able to make much happen with the Victor. Never really got into a position where he could have that Chaos Storm ticking on multiple members of the ROX Tigers and really rack up the damage and try to get those picks. ROX just came in a little bit on shaky ground, but very much found some firmness, and they just ran away with it in the end.
The ROX Tigers, the class clown, smart, with a bit of heart, and at some point they were told to cut it out. They were having too much fun in the early game, and they got serious, and serious ROX Tigers just beats JinAir every day of the week.
That they do. Well, we'll see if they're able to do it twice in a row and close out this series, or if JinAir will fire back. We're going to go to a quick break. When we return, we'll have Game 2.